All right. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Doing Business with the Federal Government. My name is Amber Haskell, and I am the Executive Director of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and I have the pleasure of overseeing our Pacesetters Responsible Sourcing Initiative. While much of our attention focuses on the development of responsible sourcing practices within our network of corporate buyers, Pacesetters also aims to provide the best possible insights for small businesses across Massachusetts and engage them with the knowledge from our buyers and partners like the Small Business Administration or the SBA. Our Doing Business series is a key element of that, and we're grateful to all of our corporate buyers for their participation and support. With extra thanks to the Eastern Bank Foundation for their continued commitment for all small businesses across the Commonwealth, and to the SBA for sharing their insights with the small business community. Before we hop into today's session and I introduce today's speaker, I have a few housekeeping notes. First, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared on the Chamber's YouTube page shortly after the presentation, as well as sent to you all in a thank you email after the session has completed. For those of you joining us live, please submit your questions through the Q&A feature, which has a button at the bottom of the screen, making sure you send to all panelists. Or you can email questions to foundation@bostonchamber.com. I will be on at the end to ask as many questions to the SBA team as possible. And now I am pleased to introduce today's speaker. Today's speaker is Tyrone Williams, Business Opportunity Specialist and Administrative Officer at the Small Business Administration. Tyrone brings a strong background in public service, project management, and community advocacy. He joins the SBA from the City of Boston, where he most recently served as the Special Assistant to the Chief of the Worker Empowerment Cabinet. In this role, he supported citywide initiatives aimed at advancing labor equity, economic mobility, and workforce development. Tyrone is also the co-founder of the Follow My Steps Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping underserved communities overcome socioeconomic barriers through mentorship, career development, and financial literacy programs. Tyrone holds a bachelor's degree and MBA from the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. His work reflects a deep commitment to equity, opportunity, and sustainable community growth. Welcome, Tyrone, and I will pass this presentation off to you.
Thank you, Amanda. A big shout out to you and the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, you and Kasia, for putting this together, allowing me to speak to this team, these group of small businesses. So once again, my name is Tyrone Williams. I'm the Business Opportunity Specialist for the Massachusetts District Office. For folks who don't know, we're at 10 Causeway Street, right next to TD Garden, downtown Boston. And our overall goal is to help small businesses achieve the American dream and help empower them to do that. So I will caveat before I get started with the presentation because there will be tons of information. I know there will be tons of questions. Please write down your questions in the chat and I will answer them at the end of the presentation. I'm sure that as I go along, I'll start answering some of those questions that you may have. I will also caveat that there are different tiers of uh, government contracting. You have city, you have state, and you have federal government contracting. So essentially, for folks who have not been in business for 2 years, this would be the highest level of government contracting, or another term, this would be the most difficult way to get into government contracting. Not saying that you can't do it, because I will allude to businesses that are not in business for 2 years or working towards that, how you can still be a part of the ecosystem. So I will say a lot of things, and then I will backtrack and say, well, if you're above 2 years or below 2 years, this is how it applies to you. Like I said, if you have questions when I'm going through it, please pop it into the chat. And with that, I will get started. So once again, our goal here is powering the American dream, your dream here. And we have been doing that, supporting small businesses for more than 70 years. If you're not familiar, our district office exists in every single state. So people may think, or people come to me and say, hey, Tyrone, you're the federal government for Massachusetts. No, we're just a fragment of the federal government, which is national, right? And we represent the constituents of Massachusetts. So we have advocacy individuals here called RAs, regional advocates. The regional administrator actually sits at our district office. You have district directors, you have outreach and marketing specialists, you have vendor relations specialists. There's so many things that go into the ecosystem. So if you haven't already, I would stop by the SBA office, 10 Causeway Street, or take a stop by our website to see all the different departments that we offer and how we can serve you if you're not that familiar with the Small Business Administration. Once again, we've been doing this for quite a bit, and we have learned some of the better practices in serving small businesses. So if you have not, please tap in. And what we focus on, three C's, a D and an E: access to contracting, access to capital, access to counseling, access to disaster assistance, and then access to exporting. So if you want to do government contracting, you're in the right place. I can show you how to build your resume, your rapport. Or if you're already doing the work and you're like, I'm just a little confused on how to navigate the SBA, we're going to go through that as well. We don't give out loans. We work with banking partners that will help supplement if you are credit worthy enough, or if you have a lack of credit worthiness, to help supplement some of your financial costs. So we have two programs, which I'm not going to go into great detail in this presentation. It's actually not in here, but I will touch on it. It's called 7A and 504. 7A is for more of your working capital, and 504 is more of your, if you're looking to buy a large piece of equipment, machinery, or a building or something to that nature. Once again, everything that I'm stating is on the SBA.gov website. It's all tabbed out really well. You can go to Lender Match and find a bank that is best suited for your business. So if you came to this presentation with, hey, I know SBA gives out loans and money, really not this conversation, but you can still be active during this conversation or right after. SBA.gov, there's a section called funding section. I would suggest doing Lender Match. And without further ado, I will get into the federal contracting space of things. So if folks didn't know, all of these businesses on the screen were once small businesses, and they all received help from the SBA to help grow and scale their businesses to now large conglomerates. The benefit of knowing these large businesses and thinking, hey, maybe I want to be a Nike or I want to be a Chobani is you can go work and subcontract with these large agencies. Because when you receive federal contracts, there are metrics that you must hold up to or parse out to, which we're about to get into. It's called certifications. So as I spoke about, we are at 10 Causeway Street. You can check us out here, send us a message, view our map, call. You're going to see my information at the end of the presentation, but you can go to the website and get the information of everybody in our office if you want to talk to somebody particular. And once again, the regional office as well. Once again, I'm here to help you build your capacity through certification programs, helping you do market research, helping you understand where businesses, where government agencies are actually selling to small businesses. So if you are not familiar or aware, there is a large amount of money set aside or dedicated to small businesses. 23% of all federal contracts are dedicated to small businesses. Now you're going to see a breakdown here. What is services able, small disadvantage, women owned, hub zone? We're going to break those down in a little bit. We're going to go each of those line by line to see if you qualify, what it is, and what are the advantages of that stuff, or just being certified. Being certified at the federal government level just means that only other people who have the same certification as you are allowed to bid on the contract that came out. So if the contract was women-owned small business and you only had a hub zone certification, that means only me and this other person can bid. And that makes it competitive for us in our realm. That's the whole idea. I go back to those large businesses, Nike, Chobani, when they get large contracts, and I'm going to go into what a large contract is, they have to give out a certain percentage of that contract to a certified business. So these are the certifications here. There are tools that will let you know, market research, everything is public, on which contracts still have money to give out to certain small businesses, or which agencies still haven't met their contracting goals via certification. So maybe you are a large business more than 2 years and you're like, well, I've had the certification for a bit, or I know I'm eligible for the certification. I just don't know where to go look, bid, how to have a conversation, or understand if this person is even attracted to my certification or my services. All of that stuff is public information, and part of my job is to help you understand how to go understand that. So we're going to get into, once again, the breakdown of these different certifications. So contract certification, as we just talked about, just means that you have a better odd of applying or winning a contract because the pool of people who have certifications is much smaller. The only difference between what I alluded to on the last slide and this slide is the 8A, the number 8, the letter A business development program. That is actually the core of what I do here at the Small Business Administration. I oversee the portfolio of 8A contractors. And so I'm going to go into the certification, but long story short, it is a 9-year business development program in which your district office's BOS holds your hand in getting contracts. And while you can get sole sourced, I'll go into what sole source means in a second, in any of these certifications, 8A is the only one where you are quote unquote guaranteed a sole source because you don't go bid for contracts. As your representative, I apply for things or I represent you to other agencies, or agencies will come and research you and they will give me a contract and you will subcontract under the Small Business Administration for that agency and you had to do no work at all. That is the benefit of doing any certification, but the highest level certification, 8A, gives you that benefit. So, if folks have tried to do certifications in the last year, 2 years, you may have seen some changes to the SBA certifications website. October of 2025, last year, the certify.sba.gov website actually sunsetted, and we adopted a new platform called certifications.sba.gov, the long version, certifications.sba.gov versus certify. Now, the difference is certify, you have to apply for each individual certification, different applications. With certifications, it's now a one-stop shop, and anything you are eligible for, the system will let you know. And if you choose to apply, you don't have to go back and do it twice. Your application is already saved. You just have to do the additional steps for that specific certification. So even if you wanted to check to see if you're eligible for something, Hub Zone, Women on whatever, go into the certifications.sba.gov website. There is a section that lets you know if you are eligible, a verification check. And you can go ahead before you start your application, submit your information, doing your real work. You can see where you would land on the scale and spectrum of certifications. And what if I just started an LLC? How does that work out? The day you have an EIN, you can apply for a certification. And now I'm alluding to federal certifications. You can go get a city certification or a state certification. Amber, is there a question or day you have an EIN? Yes, no, maybe so.
No, sorry. You were frozen for a minute, so I just popped on to make sure you were good, but you're good to
Okay,
go.
all right. So the day you have an EIN, like I said, you can go apply on LegalZoom, whatever business website that you want. You're going to get that identification number. You're gonna need some more paperwork to submit. I'm just telling you the bare brass tacks. You don't need to have any sales done, products sold, anything like that. The day you have an EIN, you can apply for certifications at the city, the state, or federal level. I'm going to explain federal certifications because that's where I work. I would suggest you go to SDO's website, mass.gov/SDO. There's only one state certification per state, and then every single city has a contracting pool. So if you work in a city or if you live in a city, go to their website and see what they have to offer. For us, you go to certifications.sba.gov. Uh, I'm sorry, first you go to sam.gov. Everything runs through sam.gov. If you do not have a sam.gov profile, you cannot do anything with the federal government. Everything that I am telling you is 2000% free. If you are being charged for anything that I am talking about, you are speaking to the wrong person. You need to sign up for sam.gov, fill out that page. Once you have your UEI, unique entity identifier, which is going to take about 4 weeks, you're going to get your UEI immediately, but then you have to go back into the system and validate your profile. So after they do that, I think they sped it up a little bit, but it takes about 4 weeks or less. You will get back this confirmation that says you're all set. You can start doing contracting with the federal government, which means right on sam.gov. Sam.gov is a profile setup. Sam.gov also houses all the contracts for the federal government. So the day you get your paperwork verification, you can start applying for contracts. At the same time, you can start applying for certifications. You go over to the certifications website. Like I said, you submit your application, you do the screening, everything looks like this on the inside of your application, where you're at, who's reviewing it, if you need to submit something else, whatever the case may be, or what is the determination. So, like I said previously, if you were working with the SBA and you were dealing with certified, certifications is much cleaner. It's a one-stop shop, a lot less of a headache. And if you have questions, not only myself, but we have resource partners, which I'm going to go into, that can help assist you. Once again, free confidential counseling. So now we're going to jump into our certifications, starting with women-owned small businesses and economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. You're going to hear me say the economically disadvantaged piece a bit. Economically disadvantaged is the same in all categories. If you're economically disadvantaged in one category, you're economically disadvantaged in all categories. One thing to remember. So if you are economically disadvantaged, you automatically qualify for 8A. So if you're like, I want to try 8A, but I don't know if I'm gonna get into anything else, they're all one and the same. The criteria here being for economically disadvantaged, your personal net worth has to be less than $850,000. Your 3-year average income is $400,000 or less, and your fair market value assets are $6.5 million or less. Now, when you come into the 8A program or you want to join the 8A program, your house, your primary residence, does not count towards your net worth. So that's also a plus. For women-owned small businesses, and this is the requirement for all of the other ones as well, is the 51% ownership requirement. And this does not mean, oh, me and my wife or my spouse are going to go into business. I'm going to make her 51% and we're going to go get an WASB and Ed WASB certification. If that individual does not have the technical experience or a legitimate role within the organization, it does not qualify. This person has to have an active role, and if you are vetted and outed in that space, you will receive repercussions. So I suggest you do your paperwork correctly on the forefront, especially if you plan to apply for government contracting or contracts. So like I said, managerial experience, manage the daily operations, or no minimum time in business, right? So they could be brand new to the business, it could be a brand new startup business. As long as the person, this 51% person, has the idea or the cognizance to make the operation happen without you being there. Hub Zone program is actually quite popular, very much underutilized because of the difficulty, right? So people say, hey, maybe do I live in a hub zone, or how does the hub zone work? Or the fastest, easiest way to do it. The other caveat is, say, folks say, how do I know, how do I qualify for Hub Zone? You need at least 35% of your employees to come from a Hub Zone. That's have to be the same Hub Zone that you're in, but they have to live in a Hub Zone, right? And commute to your Hub Zone. So your employees are recipients of this program as well. So let's say you only have one employee, and that one employee is in a hub zone. That's 100%. That's all you need. If it's two employees and one of them comes from a hub zone, that's 50%. You're still above 35%. So the two main requirements for a hub zone, right? So the employment opportunities, capital investment, economic leverage. Obviously, that's the whole point. It's a little bit destitute or a little bit desolate, and we're looking to revitalize that area and that energy. So once again, you can check out the map, sba.gov/hub zone. You can just Google it, and the map will come right up. So I spoke about Sole Source Awards for 8A. This is the second highest recipient for, I won't say second highest, but most likely for sole source opportunities because of the scarcity of hub zone certifications. I talked about agencies have requirements that they need to give out contracting dollars. So what happens at the end of a quarter when an agency hasn't met their certification quotas? They will start looking on this database, which you're going to see in a bit, called small business search. If you are registered on sam.gov, you will have one of these profiles. Essentially, it's like these social media for the federal government. Whether you know it or not, if you made a sam.gov, you have a profile in which people search your business, your NAICS code, your information, and they determine if you're a good fit for contracts. End of each quarter or the end of each year, how we accumulate it, contracting officers need to dump those dollars. They either dump them 8A if they still have the opportunity, they'll do full and open comp. They have to get the dollars out. And what you need to do as an individual is place yourself in front of these agencies, as I talked about earlier. You can see or research which agencies still have certification goals to meet. You can still research agencies that have contracts out, right, that they're looking to fill via their forecast, or you can just engage with contracting officers to see if they have contracting goals that they need to meet. So I'm saying a bit, like I said, if you have questions, please ask. I'm saying a bit. So you have BPAs, which are could be small or large contracts, right? As an example, if you are a hub zone, right, and you're like, I'm going to talk to this contracting officer, there are two ways that this can go. Because sole source awards can only go up to a certain amount, which I'm going to show you in a second, there are other ways to get contracting dollars out or committed to small businesses. So let's say I had to give away $10 million, and this is a crazy example, but I could do $10 million on a BPA, which I'm forgetting the acronym, over the next 5 years and award you this contract because I needed this money to spend. For the next 5 years, I will be charging you a certain base rate to perform a certain activity. If the activity is cutting lawn on this Navy base, then for the next 5 years until the $10 million is spent or something else happens, you know you have a guaranteed pipeline of dollars. So different ways you can use your certification or use a timeline for certifications for your favor. Now, if you know somebody who won a contract like that, and you're like, how can I get involved with that, or how do I take advantage? I'm gonna get into subcontracting as well, which is just working under somebody who has a prime contract. You have no leverage to the contract. You're just purely working with somebody who wants to work with you. And there are different ways the SBA can make that work. Okay, enough on that. So some of these certifications you do have to recertify. HubZone is one of them because of the employment, and then the map may change. So they are constantly checking for that activity. Vet Cert program, I think outside of 8A, this may get the most dollars, and I think this is Veteran Appreciation Month as well. So there are a lot of activities centering around that. So you have services, disabled veteran-owned small businesses. Like I said, the same criteria for women-owned small businesses. You have to be 51%. Um, like I said, right here at the bottom, reciprocal certification for eligible women-owned small businesses and 80 small businesses. Obviously, with the federal government, we have a preference for our veterans. You're going to see at the end of this slide, we have a specialized resource group, VBOC, Veteran Business Outreach Center, literally designed to help small business veterans achieve their federal contracting goals. And once again, being a veteran is a plus because if you worked at military bases, or if you have connections, or if you understand where different federal agencies lie, then you have more of that insight to say, hey, I know what services that they may be purchasing, or you may know the purchasing agent, or you may know how to contact or write the right technical expertise for certain contracting activities. So folks who are not veterans, it may be to your advantage to partner with a veteran or just go work around in this ecosystem to see how other people are doing things. Because there's no one way to do federal contracting. You have to figure out where you are, where your business is, where you want to be. So my favorite, the 8A Business Development Program. You have 9-year business development program. We hold your hand. This information is a little bit outdated. So not this slide though. So like I said, you have to be 2 years in business. There are ways that let's say you did 20 years in the Air Force and you're like, I know this stuff like the back of my hand and my resume says it well, and you can get to the 8A program. You don't have to wait the 2 years. There's a potential waiver that you can get if you can showcase capability. So, but 2 years, a couple of sales sold, you just have to showcase that you have the performance ability to work and grow in something like this. First 4 years, you can do whatever you want. There's no repercussions. I manage you. I hope you understand X, Y, and Z. And that's hoping this is a good 4 years because years 5 through 9, if years 1 through 4 were good, what does a good year 1 through 4 look like? You can get as many 8A contracts as you want. Let's say you were that 20-year vet and you already knew that federal agency and you already knew that they was going to award you a contract. Because sole source, they don't have to do the competition. It doesn't go on SAM.gov. They don't talk to anybody. This business is eligible. Tyrone, are they capable? I want to award them the contract. Is that going to work for you guys? Yes. All right, let's get them a contract. You can get $168.5 million like that. After that, you're cut off the program. For your first 4 years, we do not regulate how many 8A contracts that you get after years 5 through 9, the amount of commercial dollars that you get has to at least be even, or I think you have to have 30% of your 8A contracts be, it has to be 30% of whatever you get for commercial revenues. So years 5 through 9, you cannot just bank on 8A sole source contracts. Why? Because once you graduate, you can no longer get 8A sole source. We don't want to set you up for failure, right? You get all these contracting dollars, millions of dollars, and then that is all of your cash flow and your revenue, and you no longer have a business because you no longer get 8A contracts. So years 5 through 9, you have to showcase how you can manage both of those different things. So a pretty good deal. This is the outdated piece. So getting the most out of your 8A contract, I am alluding to sole source opportunities. For folks who are not, for folks who are in construction NAICS codes, codes 31 through 33, and if you don't know what a NAICS code is, NAICS, NAICS, North American Industry Classification System, predetermined 6-digit code. You can Google janitory NAICS, and it's going to give you a 6-digit number. I think that's like in the fives or something like that, 56. Don't know. If you are in a construction NAICS code and you were in the 8A program, this year they updated these numbers to $8.5 million in sole source if you're doing manufacturing. And everything else is 5.5. I know it says 4.5 here, but everything went up at $1 million. So you can ask Tyrone, do you ever see $1 million sole source contracts? I actually signed one last week. I sign one at least once a month, and that is like a bad month if it's only one once a month. So we have about 32 8A prime contractors in Massachusetts. We are Region 1, by the way. Region 1 is Maine, Connecticut, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. The combination of all 5 or 6 of these states, I may have missed one, the total number of 8A firms that we have is less than 70. I think we're like 66 something total for Region 1. Now, let me break that out for you. One state in Region 2, Washington, D.C. is our headquarters. Maryland, the Virginia area, one of those states alone, over 1,500 8As in just that one state. You can go down to Florida. You can see about 500. I know these numbers because I was doing some research other places because these 8As were getting contract work in Massachusetts. I was trying to educate my 8As on how to prevent other people taking your federal contracts. So I started breaking down, hey, this is how many of you guys exist in this NAICS code and what you're actually competing against everyone else in the nation. For construction, you can only do it regionally. Previously, with the pandemic, anybody could have gone anywhere across the nation, but now it's been contained a little bit. So joining these programs are a little more beneficial for small businesses because it was a free for all at one point. If it's in the 8A program, all 8As are eligible. Now it's, like I said, centralized to certain areas and regions and demographics. So knowing that there's not that many prime contractors, at least in Region 1, right, it gives folks like yourselves opportunities to do contracting at a high level. I don't think there's no 8As in Vermont. There is no 8A firms out of Vermont. I think they have an office with one person in it. I think Maine has 3 8As. Connecticut has maybe 7. If you're in Massachusetts, you're literally dealing with the most competition you'll deal with in the New England region. So like I said, helping you understand that you guys can work together, whether it be somebody getting an 8A as a prime and then you guys subcontracting to each other, whatever the case may be. There is no need to fight in Region 1 because there is not that many people to be fighting with. So I go down to point 3, joint ventures and SBA mentor protege program. So joint ventures are separate businesses. So if you and somebody else decide that, hey, you have capabilities and I have capabilities, and together we can go get this contract, which is more than we could do by ourselves. But I don't want to give up any of my company, and I know you don't want to give up any of your company. Joint ventures gives you the opportunity to bid purely on that contract, form a new company for the pure sake of bidding on that contract, right? So if you're like, you know what, this just makes sense. Your construction, I'm garbage disposal. This whole contract reads all together like this. Let's apply through the SBA to make a separate business, which you can only have for 2 years at a time, and it starts from the time you get the contract. and say we're gonna work our way through this. And if it works out, maybe we can become mentor or protege. You want to work with somebody who knows what they're doing, already has contracts, or is a big name. We have formalized programs, not just SBA. You have FAA, you have why am I blinking? The energy, the Department of Energy, you have the Department of Transportation, you have FBI. I think there's like seven or eight, which I do have information on if folks want to talk to me after. You can say these are the primes, or how can I get a part of this agency because they do a lot of what I want to do, and I want to work with somebody who has some know-how, and I don't want to get taken advantage of. Is there a way that we can do that? Yes, it's our mentor protege program. So you guys can form separate businesses, separate entities, or you can work together on contracts for as long as you want to. We do help with technical assistance programs. You will see at the end of this presentation. Except the guaranteed loans, we don't give out loans. We work with banks to help fill that gap. And then we do have some bonding activities and assistance here as well. So, as an example, I know I spoke about this a lot, right? There are many agency that does a lot of different spending. You can see here just a glimpse on what they spent last year. There's also a breakdown, USA spending, which that's where they got this from. You can see which agency spent what, where, the subcontracting activity, the prime contracting activity, the agency, the top agency that gave money to the sub agency to give to the small business. Like I said, anything that happens in the federal government, it is all trackable. It is all public information. You want to know, hey, can I sell hot sauce? Because there was an 8A firm in our portfolio that sold hot sauce to the commissaries, and that's how they made their living. They just sold, basic goods. You can figure out which agency is buying what goods or how this stuff is allocated. If you sell shampoo products, right, everything has to be bought. We're all humans, right? These are our soldiers, right? Praise our soldiers that are fighting on the front lines. They have military bases. They have homes. They need their homes cleaned, right? So whether you do light demolition, or if you do cleaning services or nursing services, you do a restaurant, whatever the case may be. People need to eat, live, be cleaned, dog walkers, stuff like that. So whatever you can think of, there are opportunities. You need to figure out where they are. So, as you may have guessed, we are the largest buyer of goods and services in the world. So don't think the government won't buy your goods and services. What we do here, not me particularly, but we help you assess your marketability, your structure and experience, right? Systems and capabilities, and your ability to find contracts, right? Maybe the NAICS code that you're using shouldn't be your primary NAICS code. That's probably why you're not getting recognized. Or in Massachusetts, your NAICS code is just a low contracting value. Maybe you need to go somewhere else or partner with somebody else to do something, right? So help you understand that there are tools to help you make informed decisions before you actually get into this contracting space. And not just federal government, it's at the city, at the state, and it's with us. So if you're deciding this is the route that you want to do, you need to dedicate some time or hire somebody to do market research. I'm telling you right now, the biggest thing I get is, Tyrone, what do I do next? After I just got done through this whole spiel, and they say, what do I do next? You didn't hear, go get a resource partner, go do market research. And in their mind, like, I can't because I have a business to run. What is the most important thing? That's the thing about it. You can't isolate contracting. You can't isolate a new business revenue stream, right? So you either have to dedicate the time or hire somebody who's dedicated to doing all of this work because it is part-time, full-time job. You can ask any 8A that has gone through the route or folks who even try federal contracting. They always say the same thing. I don't have enough time and I need some help. So I alluded to earlier was the mentor protege program, and this could be that opportunity for you, right? So maybe you're not the best at bidding on contracts, or you don't know how much to sparse out on a contract, or maybe you don't have the right bonding for what you're looking to do. It's the whole advantage of doing mentor protege program. Like I said, there's so many agencies that have different opportunities, or you can even see the firms that are primes that are looking for sub agencies because once again, these large primes are getting contracts so big that they're forced to work with small businesses to fulfill their contracting goals and gaps. So I spoke about earlier, we do have some bonding activity as well, the SBA surety bond, a guaranteed surety bond from select providers. Once again, anything that I tell you, I'm not going to tell you to go speak to so and so. I said LegalZoom earlier. I'm not telling you to go to LegalZoom. There are plenty of business startup websites out there, right? We don't advocate for any particular small business or activity. We're going to present to you the different options that exist and help you make a informed decision on how to go about that. So, reimagining your potential as you're branching out. So, a new initiative that has been started recently, and we are focusing on the Manufacturing in America initiative, which is growing our small manufacturing businesses and bringing all of that stuff back to the States. So those are NICS codes 31 through 33. You do have some advantages here against other contractors, right? So one, if you're having issues applying for stuff, or if you have like a technical business, if you're in that 541 computer science space and you're like, man, the ITAR sucks and I just can't get anything through, you do have the opportunity to call our red tape hotline and get straight to our regional administrator's desk, Kelly Loeffler's desk. So those are being heard on a regular basis. So if you just want to have a conversation about how things can be improved, there is a hotline that you can do. This is a nice one, the increase to access to capital. So manufacturing obviously costs a lot to produce. The 7A working capital had a cap of $5 million up until 3 weeks ago, maybe. Maybe I'm dragging a little bit. I think it was a little bit sooner. But now the working capital, you can apply up to $10 million. So with that, I think a 20-year term, but you can see more about that on our website. So more access to capital opportunities for folks who are looking to do manufacturing. And then once again, the exporting opportunity, working with our resource partners, which I'm gonna get to at the end. We do have an export manufacturing center at several of our UMass locations. So maybe exporting was not something on your list, but you have a product that can be sold or given away or done, or a service that can be done somewhere else. That is technically exporting. So there's tons of opportunities that you can lean into, all for free, all at your leisure. So once again, the Made in America manufacturing, there is one other thing I want to allude to. If you are a construction manufacturer, anything like that, and you're having a tough time buying goods, identifying goods, or being competitive with the pricing, on this website and on this link here, once you get the slides, stonysba.gov is under initiatives, is right at the end, or priorities right at the end. There's this onshoring portal. You can see right to the right, make onshoring great again portal. There's 10, 20, 30,000 vendors all across the nation that categorized by materials and items that you can go purchase and buy from, or showcase why you're more competitive than anybody else. When you're applying for government contracts, the government does a government cost estimate to relive every other contract that was given out under that space. And that's how they do their bids, or they pick their winners. So you can go see, hey, if I bid too much, or if there are cheaper materials, I can get a better price or a better bid on my contract. And we have made that simple by making the Make Onshoring Great Again portal. So no matter what you can think of, there is somebody selling it and they have been listed in this portal. So if you're already making stuff, selling stuff, maybe you can get it cheaper. I would go check out this portal. Spoke about earlier, exporting. If that's something that you're into, if you want to get international, you can have a conversation. You can see what your current potential looks like, X, Y, and Z. And we spoke about earlier the three C's, a D, and an E. I will get into the state trade expansion program, which is a workforce education training program for folks who are looking to increase their manufacturing training capabilities, or their training, their manufacturing workforce. We're gonna get into U.S. export centers and small business development centers shortly, I guess right here. So we have different resource partners all on the SBA website. Once again, I think it's the fourth tab under assistance or help. But the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center, MSBDC, are located at our UMass location. So the Mount Ida campus, if you go to Springfield Tower Square, right there at the UMass Center on the fourth floor. Uh, where's the other one? I think there's something in Central Mass as well. There you go, Central Mass area. But like I said, all on the website. These are also national. So you can go apply to the website and say, hey, I may be applying here, but I actually live in California. You connect me with the right mentor in California with these correct services. And that will happen as well. The export centers are only at certain locations, though. So if you're looking to go in and speak to somebody, hey, you get a head start right here. Okay, I don't know what that's there. So disaster assistance loans, if your business is impacted by a disaster, any type of economic injury, personal property, inventory, something like that. Once again, the SBA is a direct lender of funds to help you cover those different things. You may have remembered the EIDL loan, which is the last loan that we gave out, and the PPP loan. So This is stuff that we help deal with for small business to help recover. And then, if anything that I said to you sounds foreign, right on that SBA.gov website, I think it's under learning, the fourth or the fifth tab, there are several Boots to Business boot camps, SBA Ascent, and there's something else. And these are free online courses. Boots to Business is an in-person training camp. It's about 6 months. I think we just got some funding to get something else started. But SBA Ascent is an online digital platform in which you can just walk through, get the correct terms of vernacular, and make your way through what actually federal contracting is. So if you've never bid, if you've never been to SAM.gov or like you don't know what to do, SBA Ascent is probably the best place to start because it's going to walk you through handheld on how to get through it, how to make sense of it. Resource partners I'm about to get into. We got score.org, like I said, all national, but they have regional based chapters here in Massachusetts. I would suggest score.org if you are just getting started, if you are less than 2 years, if you're like, hey, I haven't even gotten the EIN or I just have questions to get started, go speak to a score counselor. If you're still well established and you're like, why would I go speak to somebody about my business? Because connections is everything in the federal government. And these folks are connected across the state with folks who are winning contracts or folks within different agencies. You never know what doors that these folks can open. And once again, it's all free and confidential. So I would reach out and have me a team, just some checking in with twice a week, maybe once a month to say, this is what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. Have you heard anything? What are the new best practices? Because that's what they're doing. They're always tapped into that space. MSBDC, which we just talked about, or SBDC, depending on where you're located at. Like I said, at these different locations, more than welcome to sign up. Do not call and expect an appointment for anybody. You need to go to the website and request for counseling. They will do an intake because they need to see where you are, the type of business, so they can pair you with the right mentor because it's not just a random mentor. And then Center for Women in Enterprise, not women exclusive, but they do have women exclusive services. So I would also reach out to see what I can do. And then I talked about earlier, VBUC. If you are a veteran, there is a specific center for you, Veteran Business Outreach Center. The director is Holly Aker. You're going to contact her. You're going to go apply for services. But once you do, if you're a veteran, you'll be meeting with Holly Aker, who is really good and well connected. And here's just a short list of everything I just talked about. One thing that is missing here is Apex, APEX. If you're old enough, you'll probably remember PTAC, PTAC, but it's called Apex now. And Massachusetts, but I obviously have to send that out and maybe get that sent over because the Massachusetts Apex just got refunded a couple of months ago. So there's some new folks out there, some new names and information. But if you want to just Google APEX Massachusetts, it's a green Massachusetts logo, you'll see it. You want to be dealing with those folks if you've been in business for 2 years and if you are ready to apply for government contracts. They will not sit with you if you are not in a position to elevate to applying, at least bidding and applying on government contracts. These are the resource partners on the screen you want to deal with. And so you're like, you know what? I need to take the next step, and I am so lost on how to do it. Apex will get you there. And let's say you're a small business looking for big dollars, but you don't have the right capital to do it. On the SBA website, I believe it's the second tab, Small Business Investment Capital Companies, SBICs. You will see a long list of small business investment capital companies, when they fund, how much they fund, their funding cycle, when's the last time they funded, the point of contact, where they're located, all of that other stuff. There is no, hey, is this a scam or who? Everything is public knowledge information. I would say go take advantage of it. Getting towards the end. If you're looking, like I said earlier, if you don't want to do the mentor protege piece, or if the joint venture doesn't work for you, if you're like, you know what, I know what I'm doing, I just need the right capital, and I just need a silent partner, SBICs will probably be the best bet for you. Now, people always ask, are there grant programs? Actually, yes, we just got refunded for this grant program about a month ago. $5 million through 2030. Small Business Innovation Research, SBIR, Small Business Technology Transfer, STTR, essentially the same thing. They help small businesses achieve these key areas. Artificial intelligence, it's not limited to this as well. Nanomaterials, biotech, water filtration. So if you do something that's techie, or if you do something for the environment, this is the grants you want to apply for. You just go right to sbir.gov. And like I said, this just got refunded maybe a month ago. So And we don't have any organization and community grants at this moment. I will keep checking back. The STEP grant, as we talked about earlier, if you want to train your employees, if you're in the manufacturing and construction space, training opportunities there, grant training opportunities there. And if you're in the scientific space, we do now have some grants over there. Stay connected. Sign up for our newsletter, sba.gov. You scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a little intake where you can put your zip code, put our zip code, Boston zip code, any Boston zip code, and you'll start receiving norms or PIO's newsletter. And you can see all the events that we're doing, like the event that I'm doing on Thursday. Folks are looking to find other procurement arenas. I'm hosting an event with Thermo Fisher Scientific in Waltham, and I can send that out as well as a flyer. But it's a free procurement event. They need more people in their procurement pool because they're not giving away enough dollars, enough contracting dollars. They're looking for more veterans, and every month it changes on their goals. It's going to be another individual from Chase Bank. They have another coaching program. It's free, and they have a goal of getting small businesses in their train to get more loans and more dollars. So a lot of free stuff out there. MBDA, Minority Business Development Agency, Kidani is going to be there as well. So I listed our resource partners. Looking for another free resource partners because they need to showcase that people are getting contracts. They are looking to give away free technical assistance so businesses can win contracts so they can show that their services work. So stuff like that you will get from our newsletter. Easy way to keep up. This is the end of the slide. I talked so much. You can take a picture of my information. Please send me an email, not a text. And Amber, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Tyrone. I'm going to give you a minute. Take a breath. Um, First and foremost, thank you for presenting. For those of you who are joining us live, please feel free to throw a question in the Q&A chat box. If you don't see it on the bottom of your screen, there should be a circle with three dots that say more. If you click on that, it will pop up the Q&A chat box. So the first question, Tyrone, I have for you is how do you know if your NICS code is a low value code?
So there's this website. I'm still sharing, so let me do this. Can you see my new screen?
Yes.
Okay. This is a website called USA Spending, which has all the recorded contracts that occur. So I'm about to go look at the fiscal year 26. We operate September through October. And let's just see. Actually, we can go look here, right? So you can filter this out for North American Industry Classification Code. So these are the top NAICS codes currently, right? So we're in current year fiscal 26. But the top 10 are 236220. And you can see scrolling down, and there's still a lot of numbers there. So I would just go over to the end, right? I'm not going to go all the way to the end because I don't know how long that is. But essentially, you would figure out if you have the potential for a lot of dollars or not off of something like this historically.
Wow, what an incredible amount of data. Amazing. These two are kind of related, so I'm going to ask the shorter one first and then jump into the second one. So, uh, question is it true you have to have an established business for 1 year before you can bid on any type of government contract?
No.
And so then, question is, someone said this is a lot of information. Where do they start? Um, is it with the application or connecting with resource partners, especially if you're not quite at the 2 year mark, but you have certain pieces in place like your EIN, you have cash flow, etc. Where's the best place to start?
So going back to the first question, 'cause I was waiting for the second one as well. Um, Damn, I decided to. You don't need to be in business. As soon as you open your EIN and you register on SAM.gov, like I said, you technically can bid on contracts. The likelihood of you winning a contract will probably be zero. Business or contracting officers or agencies, contracting officers want to see you in business for 2 years and the next skill that you have with some types of revenues. Or, like I said, you have to have a partner or you have to have the skill set to showcase, right? So where I would start is your resource partners. Like I said, your score.org people, MSBDC, CWE, and then you have VBUC if you're a veteran. Why do I say start there? Because if you're looking to do the federal contracting route, they're going to make sure that you are already operating within your city. You're doing all the certification with the state, and they're going to make sure that you had have a connection with your SBA team. So before they send you to me, 'cause that's going to be your next stop, they're going to say, "Have you talked to Tyrone?" Maybe I heard one of his webinars. They're going to say, "Well, have you talked to him about applying for contracts X, Y, and Z?" So start, like I said, with SCORE, MSBDC, or CWE in that order, and then VBOC if you were there, and then Apex. These people will literally lead you in a straight line.
And then Tyrone, if I know you talked about a lot of the hand holding that happens with the 8A program. If you're not going to be in the 8A program, but you need some support, would you say the same thing? Start with those partners first?
Absolutely. And it's not just them, right? So I alluded to MBDA, if I guess I'm sending out the flyer, another free hand holder. City of Boston, if you're in there, has tons of free technical assistance hand holders. Reggie, who works for Chase Bank, another hand holder, the coaching program. So maybe not me, but there's somebody out there who will do it.
For those of you who have been with some of our past webinars, that's Reggie from, he also owns his own small business, Oak Lane. Incredible resource now at Chase Bank. And again, all for free. Um, I'll make a quick plug for what the Chamber offers and the Chamber Foundation at the end of this presentation. But Tyrone, I want to go back to certification. Um, when you talked about the Hub Zone program, you talked about how the zones can change. How often does someone need to recertify? Whether that be Hub Zone, veteran-owned, small business, or women-owned, how often do you need to recertify?
HubZone is every 3 years. The 8A program is only one 9 year program. Women owned, I don't think you have to recertify for that. And then veteran owned, I think that's also set.
Okay.
And I don't know how often that
And
map
then
updates.
not a problem. And then um, in terms of certification, um, is there reciprocity with others? So if I'm certified with the city of Boston or the state of Massachusetts, does that, help me in terms of getting certified with the federal government?
Amazing question because I definitely skipped over that, and that's one of the big things about it. So there is reciprocity. The only thing that doesn't exist at the federal government level is the MBE, the Minority Business Enterprise. But if you are veteran-owned small business certified, it will be recognized at the state and the city. If you do it at the state level, it will be recognized at 99% of every city that you do, and then the federal government as well. So your best bet is to do it with the city first, and then you can bring it to either way. Because it's just simpler that way. But you do whatever you want.
And then I know you mentioned that CWE is a partner of yours. They are also a certifier. If I get certified with CWE, does that also connect to federal certification?
So there's a discrepancy there with like I said, there's different types of certifications. I never stated that those private certifications as well, which there are. We Bank is a private certification, which includes women-owned small business. So they will do that legwork for you, which they would charge you for, which you don't have to. I think that you're getting the value that you're getting is the private certifications because I don't know what they are. I don't know how to go obtain them, but you get that benefit from them. But if you just want to get women-owned small business, go to one of those federal sites. If you want them to do the work, absolutely great resource.
Wonderful. Um, let's see. Oh, Um, someone asked if we could share the link for looking up spending on the NICS code. We can send that to you all in the follow-up email. Or Tyrone, if it's possible to throw it in the chat. I don't know how you're doing with how you're a multitasker. But if we can, we'll throw it in the chat. If not, we will put that in the follow-up email to all attendees. Oh, and it looks like it is in the chat. Perfect. Um, Two more questions for you. One is, if I'm a small business, when is it best to do a joint venture versus being a subcontractor?
That's not no right or wrong answer, but being a sub, really, like I said, it really depends on what you're looking to do. It is probably much easier for you to do subcontracting because that's literally you looking up people's names and information. Like I talked about earlier, this is the social media page for all small businesses. So you can go ahead if you find somebody here that makes sense, and you're like, well, let me go figure out if it makes sense. Let me tell you. Let me show you. Let me just show it. Let me just show you. Right, UEI, pop it into USA spending. Right, I can quickly ascertain if this person is even worth subcontracting under, right? They are. They have 11 contracts. Let me go see what the numbers are. Now, I don't know if that's enough for us to share the pot because although they have a lot, this is their entire contracting profile. So if I just do 2026, they were doing good over the course of the years, but am I going to subcontract with somebody who has no dollars? Or am I going to mentor protege with somebody who has no real contracts? So that's how you have to look at it.
Perfect. And then, because we're almost at time, just one final question for you. One piece of advice you have for our small business today in terms of, contracting with the federal government, like any final, pearls of wisdom you'd like to share.
Yes, you have tons of help. People always ask, even here, like, where do I start, or how do I go about it? And it's you have to start with your ecosystem, your resource partners. People want to talk partner all day long. I get questions and I get inundated with stuff like, hey, do you know somebody who does X, Y, and Z, or agency that says I can find this person on the small business search because their SAM.gov isn't updated, right? You have to just dive into the federal contracting piece, which is starts with your resource partners. I'm also here. Your whole SBA team is here. It is a lot of work. It is not hard. It is just a lot of work. You want to overcome that, you can make a lot of money here.
Amazing. Well, Tyrone, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all on the webinar today for joining us for our doing business with the federal government. I hope you're leaving this webinar with new insights around federal procurement and certification. I know I have my biggest takeaway is that there's so much data out there. And that there's places to dig in. It's just gonna, as Tyrone says, take that time and the effort to go through it all. I hope that you will all join us in future events, whether that be more doing business webinars or any of our Small Business Strong Learning Series events. Um, in the meantime, I would love to share some upcoming resources with you all. The first is we do have an upcoming webinar as part of our Small Business Strong Learning Series. That will be on how to turn daily data into real profit, which will be on June 10th at 12 p.m. During this webinar, attendees will build the skills to understand and track key business metrics so you can confidently interpret labor costs, expenses, sales trends, and overall operational performance. As Tyrone mentioned, that there are a number of free resources across Massachusetts. The Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce Foundation is one of those as well. If you are a small business or know of a small business who is looking for support, you can check out our First Call program. Our First Call program connects Massachusetts-based small businesses to a business advisor who will help you unpack your challenges to business growth and then connect you with resources to solve those challenges. To sign up for the upcoming webinar or our First Call program, you can visit gbccfoundation.org to do both. We also hope you will sign up for our newsletter or follow us on social media to stay up to date on new events throughout the year. Thank you again to Tyrone and to the SBA, and thank you all once again for joining us. I hope to see you at an event soon. Take care.